Good evening and welcome to UGC's Rift Talks, your trusted source in the latest League of Legends news and happenings. I'm your host, Adam, Adamant Gamer Antor. Alongside me is
Richard the Third Raw Hearn.
how you doing, Richie?
Doing great, doing great. It's been a good week for league.
Yeah, it has lots, some excitement, a little quiet on the patch front, but that's to be expected as we get ready for the summer split of league, and that should be exciting.
Yes, it really should. Tonight we're going to be talking about MSI collegiate gaming, and we're also have kind of a special treat for you all called "What's That Mascot?"
Oh yeah,
This is a surprise for me. I have absolutely no clue what's going to happen, so should
yeah.
be a fun show.
Yes, it should be. It was a little game we came up with, so
I'm
I came
excited.
up with.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So I think to start things off, we're going to jump right into a little bit of patch notes, kind of a recap. We've had a couple weeks to work through 7.10 and 7.9, getting used to what those changes have brought on. And I think really what we've been experiencing has been some very good changes just for the community in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you feel about the Rift Herald at this point, having gotten to play a couple games and watch a
It's
couple streams?
it's pretty crazy. So the lower elos are starting to catch on
Mhm.
to the Rift Herald and what it does, and it definitely scares me when I see that thing tumbling down the lane. You know, you better get your team over there. So
I agree. And I think, like we talked about on our first show, team play wise, we aren't going to see as much of a dramatic impact just because they are able to respond to it a little bit better. But in your solo
absolutely.
queues, man, oh man, does it take turrets.
Yes, it does.
I got
Yeah,
to
it takes about a half of a turret's health in one. What do you call that? A ram?
ram, yeah, ram, especially on those earlier
Ram.
turrets as we get back to the kind of armor
Yeah.
beefed up turrets. It gets a little bit less devastating, but I got to watch quite a few streams where we would see that Rift Herald coming in and it would get all the way to Nexus, and I think it helps teams that are ahead spiral even further ahead
Absolutely.
more than teams that are behind level out, and so I think that's helping speed up gains, honestly.
Absolutely. And what else have you seen in the patch notes that you enjoy?
So one thing, being the person that enjoys jungle, I saw kind of a stat that I liked. Zach, after his rework, actually jumped 10% in win rate. So seeing the fact that one, the health buffs to Zach's abilities, two, the health buffs to items, and three, just health overall taking an important role in the jungle, really showing through on Zach, I think, with his win percentage and his ability to scale.
Now, has he jumped too high in win percentage that we might see a buff? Or I mean a nerf, excuse me.
Honestly, I think we may see more balancing out of items versus him necessarily and see how that kind of plays out because for those champions like Cho'Gath, like Zach, uh, we see them kind of spiraling to this win percentage because of the items that are supporting them, right? It may not necessarily be his abilities, it's the fact that his items that he's using are granting so much extra power to these abilities. That's consistently I'm seeing Cho'Gath and Zach banned out every game because ADCs are afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid of these high health, no armor champions.
Absolutely, and I think we've seen that as a regular balancing act from Riot. A lot of item changes recently, and I'm sure they'll continue to come. But I think there's a lot to think about going into Summer Split. It's 2 weeks away, not a lot of time to change things. So I'm interested to see how the teams adjust.
I am as well, just because, like we said, jungle is such an important role for the team element, right? Jungle is when you're playing with a 5 man team, the one role that is going to have the largest impact because you as a team can build the most momentum off of that jungler role. If you're having difficulty in the bot, you can call your jungler down. If you're having great success in the top, your jungler can go up and spiral that even more. It's what you plan for as a team. And the fact that junglers got such an overall rework, I think, in these past two patches, four teams, it's going to be great to see how they respond to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything else that you enjoyed?
Again, I think what we're seeing here is a push for possible shortening of games, not necessarily a consistently of shortening,
Mhm.
but giving teams and solo queue, for that matter, the ability to take your lead and push it, but giving the team that's behind the ability to respond to that in a meaningful way. If you can sneak that Rift
Absolutely.
Herald,
And it's all in the early game because the Rift Herald disappears.
yeah, exactly. And I think the rework of the Dragon that happened going into the season, the rework of Baron Buff, the rework of Rift Herald, making these global objectives so important, having that first tower blood, right? The extra
Absolutely.
gold for that first tower. We're seeing global objectives become even more important, which for team play is obviously a little bit easier to maintain control of than in your solo queues.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, should we move on to some EULCS news?
I think so.
Great. Well, there have been two big stories coming out of the EULCS this week involving uh, uh, ninjas in pajamas as well as uh, monkeys. What? Yes, the mysterious monkeys. Yes. This is a team that I have never heard of. Um, and Ninjas in Pajamas is one of the most storied esports organizations getting back into League, both of which are going to be fascinating to watch.
And I think, like we've been talking about, the possible buy-in for teams is starting to happen, right? We've seen it some on the NA side, and now we're seeing it on the EU side. This franchising is really driving these teams that want to be in league before this franchising. They're making their moves now, right? These teams that aren't even necessarily in the actual NA or EU LCS scene at this point, they're trying to break in, specifically Ninja in Pajamas. They bought Fnatic's Academy team, right? That team has the potential, but isn't quite there. And so we're seeing these organizations take the risk to
Hmm.
try and get in before franchising because I think their teams are preparing for the worst.
Absolutely, and it's good to note that that spot, NIP, I believe is NIP bought it for $400,000. So some significant money there.
Yeah, and if we see franchising being an additional cost for these teams, I mean, Nip, Ninjas in Pajamas, they're really doubling down on league, right? Right before franchising, they're buying a team, and if they get in, they're then going to have to fork out even more cash, right? So they are saying we are here for League of Legends. We want our organization to be a part of it. They
Absolutely.
have a major presence in things like CS:GO. I'd say that's probably one of their biggest presence, and the fact
Yes.
that they're trying to break into an organization like League in the esports community, it says a lot for this organization.
Absolutely. I think it'll be interesting to watch EU coming up this season, especially seeing G2 go so far in MSI.
I agree, and let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but G2 being able to pick up a game on SKT was huge, right? That's huge
Absolutely.
for both NA and EU. The fact that we're taking games away from SKT in the
I mean,
finals.
I think that's huge for anyone in the world that there is hope.
There really is hope, and so I'm excited to see what Mysterious Monkeys and NIP can do in the EU. Uh, I can understand where these organizations are coming from. They're very rooted in the European kind of scenes of other esports, and so the fact that they're sticking to their roots. NIP is a European team for CS:GO, and the fact that they bought their spot in EU in anticipation of hopefully getting to relegation, getting breaking into the huge organization that league is, the prize pools, like that as an organization has to be something that they've been craving for a while, and they see this as an opportunity right before franchising to do it.
Absolutely, and it'd be interesting to see NIP if they can bring the pure genius from CS:GO over to League to dominate potentially another esport.
Right. That's for those of you that don't follow the CS:GO community. NIP is definitely one of the top tier teams. If we're talking about league and we talk about SKT in CS:GO, NIP is kind of spoken in the same fashion. Fnatic, NIP, they are the teams to beat in CS:GO. And so if NIP can come in, build a team from Fnatic, which I would say on the EU side is definitely a team that has been consistently talked about on the EU side, take their academy team and build it up like they did in CS:GO. it's just going to be a wonderful thing for the organization.
Absolutely. And seeing FlyQuest in NA do the exact thing with Cloud9's uh, academy team or challenger team, I think it'd be interesting to see if another organization can kind of double up the success.
And I think what we're seeing is teams are realizing there's a lot of talent out there, right? We're seeing movement of talent between teams, and we're seeing these teams come into the esports that is league through academies because they're realizing we have the potential to coach these individuals up to the level that will allow them to be successful at the LCS kind of arena. It's definitely a tough arena to compete at, right? Especially when you have teams like SKT, like G2, like these teams that come in and have such a dominant presence to try and take an academy team, something that's kind of considered as the backup for these major organizations already in here, and try and build something that can compete on that level is huge for just the ability they feel their coaches have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So EU will definitely be an interesting summer split to watch, to say the least.
It will.
Should we talk about MSI?
I think so. I personally got to watch quite a bit of it. As you can see on your screen, this is SKT coming in with their 3-1 win over G2, taking the Nexus in pretty quick fashion. This was definitely one of the shorter of the games. Personally, I was very surprised that G2 was able to pick up that game. They came in strong in game one, right? They made Faker a feeder.
They did.
Faker showed mortality in a game, which was exciting to say the least. I love Faker. I love his ability to make plays, but seeing him show some weakness kind of drove the excitement for G2, right? They dominated that early game.
Absolutely. But that game didn't turn out so well.
No, Peanut on Lee Sin was able to kind of take the side lanes in his control, and really Peanut won them that first game, I would say. His ability to carry Faker through his feeding. I mean, honestly, he was, I believe, 0-4 at one point. Peanut was able to go in the side lanes and do what he does best. Use Lee Sin to take control of those lanes. Peanut got fed. He did what Peanut does, right?
Absolutely.
Over the whole course of the series, though, definitely I agree with the pick for Wolf to be MVP. He came to this team saying, I want to be MVP. I want to win on the international level. And I think he showed that, especially in his game with Syra. There was a play that he was able to get a triple entrapment and then followed up with an ult that completely won the team fight. Without that happening there, SKT wouldn't have won that game. And I think that's shown through him getting the MVP. He played phenomenally throughout the entire series, and I think he's very well deserving of that. And if we cut to the next video, we can see SKT lifting the trophy. What do you think of the dominance of this team?
I think it's unmatched. It's crazy. You can't. There's not a team in another sport that you can compare it to. I mean, just taking one game on SKT is a huge feat.
And I agree. This SKT team has won both MSIs and World Championships at the end of the season since 2015. So consistently since Worlds of 2015, they have been the winners of MSI and Worlds. That's a lot of titles. That's a lot of pressure for this team also going into Worlds this season.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the pressure's been there since they first started winning these international spots. So it's not something that they're not used to. And I mean, Faker as Faker tends to do just fine under the pressure.
And the team as a whole did well under pressure, right? They lost game 2 and then came back in great fashion, picked up game 3, picked up game 4 for the best of 5. And really, I think that shows that even though they dropped the game, something that most people weren't expecting, they were expecting the 3-0 sweep, they were able to recover from it, right? They had a rough start to game 1. They lost game 2, and they came out. Game 3 was overall a good game. Both teams showed signs of winning, but SKT was able to, again, Peanut, he was really, I think, able to show how jungling, like we've been talking about, is such an important role. And then Wolf, he was able to kind of take command of that bot lane.
Absolutely. What does it say about um, position and roles in league when they come out and give the MVP role to a support?
So I think it's showing that we're seeing the playmaking, the team fight be kind of what's valued because Wolf showed his value in the team fight, right? That's where he was excelling the most, I would say, in his ability to control the bot lane, and then that propelled the team to be able to control the team fights. His ability to use each champion he was given in a game. So Zyra, in the specific example that I gave, he was able to masterfully use all of the skills to significantly influence a single team fight that pretty much hands down won him the game.
Absolutely. I think that's exciting as a support main myself, to kind of add legitimacy to the role because lately it hasn't. Bot lane's not been given a ton of love lately, especially in this meta. So I find it exciting.
It hasn't been. I would agree. We see a lot of just kind of ruts, I would say, in the bot lane. People aren't trying new things because we haven't updated it, right? Twitch, Caitlyn, our carries have kind of resurged this season from what we've seen in seasons 5 and 4. Season 6, we got a little bit of mix ups, right? We got the Jinx in there for a while. But we've really kind of fallen back on Ashe, on Caitlyn, on our core ADC champions that have been with the game for a long time, right?
Absolutely. Cool. Great. Well, we're excited to watch the international stage as we move forward, like again into Summer Split and then into Worlds. But we have some news coming out of University League.
Yeah.
This week we will be not we Riot will be hosting the EULCS championships in LA, and it will host the top 8 collegiate League of Legends teams. And it is sure to be a fantastic time. As you can see here, this is the plays that are going on this weekend. My favorite being Maryville. Take a close eye there. But just a group of really talented teams.
And I'm really excited for this. The one, because it is kind of Memorial Day weekend, we've got kind of some transition time ahead of us. They're getting to use the big stage, right? They're getting to use the LA studio. So what we as NA fans get to see every week. So one, I think that's going to add some legitimacy to our collegiate level of esports. We're starting to see scholarships given for these folks, right? We're starting to see the collegiate level really help support esports in general because these schools are adding legitimacy by adding scholarships, by supporting these teams, putting their names on them, right? How do you feel people like the Big Ten, people like our kind of NCAA kind of sponsorship organizations can help propel esports even further?
Well, right now, collegiate esports isn't getting the legitimacy as normal sports, and it's definitely hurting collegiate esports right now. Big Ten took a big step and partnered with Riot to start streaming some of their Big Ten matchups, which I think was a smart move on everyone's part. It added legitimacy to collegiate esports, but as a whole, there are still a significant majority of universities not openly supporting these teams or even allowing them to use their logo or their name in the team, which saddens me.
It does me too, and that's really we're focusing on it here. Obviously, internationally, that may not be the case, but here in North America, here in the United States, we're just seeing the surgence. We're seeing the early stages of esports really take off. It really is starting to gain momentum, right? We have teams allowing them to use their names. But like you say, it's nowhere near what we see football, what we see our baseballs, what we see our basketballs. Those teams really are supported by their colleges and esports.
Absolutely, and I think another thing that collegiate esports are really fighting right now is um, the the quality of play. I mean, most teams are, hey, I have 5 friends, let's get together, or I have 4 friends actually, let's get together and make a team. Maybe there's a couple diamonds or a little below that. But the teams that we're going to be seeing this weekend are the teams that are actively bringing in esports athletes that could potentially play at that professional level after college. But even within those teams that are bringing in talent, a very few are believed to have the ability to play at a pro level,
Right.
which hurts the collegiate game because it's not like a farming system or a way to grow as an esports player at this point in time.
Right. And we significantly, obviously, limit our pool, right? We have really 4, maybe 5 years, depending on how long you take in college, to actually play at this collegiate level. Most players aren't going to be able to convince a school that they need to dedicate as much time as they do on a normal sport, your basketball, your football, as we would need to dedicate on an esport,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I think you'd have to dedicate more time than a normal sport if you're aiming for a professional level.
Right, because we have such a kind of small understanding at the collegiate level, they don't want to give those sponsorships. They don't want to push for the kind of recruiting because the value isn't there yet. They teams that are going to be here, these 8 teams, they're kind of the innovators of this, right? And so they're the ones taking the risk. I think as more and more schools realize that the risk on this is going down as esports as a whole just continues to grow. I think within the next 5 years, hopefully, we'll start to see this traction. Maybe we'll get some ESPN involvement, things like that. We've already seen it for the LCS in general, but it would be nice to see it on the collegiate level as well.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to watch universities that are giving scholarships for a league starting to expand into other, including Overwatch, Hearthstone, as well as a few others. It's exciting to watch.
It is, and I'm glad that League was definitely a springboard for this, but we really are seeing other esports take advantage of the willingness of these schools to say, hey, we are here to embrace this community because we understand a large percentage of our kind of attendees to our college would be interested in watching a team that says Texas A&M as our league team, right? That's be able to get behind that. I would say at least 25% of the school would be able to say, hey, I went to the school for a league team, not necessarily just the football team.
Absolutely. That would be
That'd
quite
be
the
pretty
dream.
exciting, right?
Well, let's take a look at the 8 teams that will be performing this weekend. We have Texas A&M, Carnegie Mellon University, the University of Toronto, Simon Fraser University, Maryville, my personal favorite, University of British Columbia, University of Maryland, coming out of the Big Ten, as well as Robert Morris University, which is another strong team coming out of the Midwest. Same division as Maryville, actually, made it through to get into this Elite Eight. And like we mentioned before, games will be starting this Thursday, happening in Los Angeles on the main stage of NALCS. And it is sure to be a great ride. And we'll see what happens. It should be fun.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. So, what do you have planned?
All right.
I got to know now.
Now we got to do our fun
I gotta
section.
know.
All right, we're gonna play What's That Mascot?
I'm very excited.
So this was a little bit of a game that I came up with, a little bit of a trivia game, bringing in our collegiate League of Legends section into a little bit of a trivia game for our dear friend Richie over here, who's probably not going to get one right.
This is going to be tough. I don't even know what to expect. Obviously, mascots, but
Yes. So the basis of the game is a trivia about the mascots of the 8 schools that are going to make it there.
okay.
So let's get started. Question number 1 comes about Texas A&M.
Okay.
Their mascot are the Aggies.
Okay. No surprise there.
What is an Aggie?
Is it like a cowboy, maybe? Is it like a cowboy dude that has a hat? That's gonna be my guess.
No, it is not.
Okay.
An Aggie is a student at an agricultural school, college, or university. And how they portray it at Texas A&M, they actually use a dog. Uh, we, yes, that right there. You can see it on the screen there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a real dog. It shows up. They've had 10 of them or so.
Very interesting.
But yeah, that is that. An Aggie is a nickname for an agricultural student.
Okay, good to know.
It was not me. It
I
was-
know they're pretty big down there at Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest schools
Yeah.
that'll be there.
Yeah, definitely.
Question number 2 is about Carnegie Mellon University.
Okay.
Their mascot are the Tartans, the mighty fighting Tartans. What is a Tartan?
Well, a tartan. Let's say a dude with a spear and a shield. Let's say,
Triton Spartan.
yeah, it's kind of like a Spartan, not quite. Maybe not as buff.
Okay. I
Maybe.
respect that guess. But a tartan is actually a pattern consisting of crisscrossed horizontal and vertical bands in multiple colors. We have a picture of that mascot that they use to represent. The tartan is actually the pattern on his handkerchief there.
They really should replace the dog with maybe Pantheon.
Oh, a pantheon.
Pantheon with the same scarf, Nice
But it's
scarf.
like
Yeah.
a Scottish thing, so maybe a little before the time of the tartan.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But who comes up with these mascots? We may never know.
We may never know.
Number 3 comes from Robert Morris University. So when do you think, or their mascot are the Colonials.
Colonials, okay.
When do you think Robert Morris walked on this great nation?
Robert Morris, they're the Colonials. Obviously, the natural guess would be during colonial times, but I'm going to guess that's incorrect. And I'm going to go with during the Roaring '20s.
The Roaring '20s.
Just a wild guess.
That is incorrect. It is during colonial times. He was actually one of the founding fathers of America and was big into finance and the economy, which you should have known.
I should have known that.
And he was the second most powerful man in the U.S. behind George Washington.
Okay.
How
okay.
exciting. That's pretty cool.
Was he like under John Hancock then, maybe?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But
Maybe. We'll say that's why he wasn't noticed,
I know John Hancock has the biggest one.
right?
Oh,
Okay.
and fun fact, that's Romo,
Romo.
the colonial.
Colonial. Is he
See, Robert Rowe and Morris Romo.
Romo? I
Fun
like it.
fact, he has red hair, which I'm pretty sure Robert Morris did not have red hair.
I
Yeah.
feel like that was a
Yeah.
kind of a drop ball there.
He was actually born in Liverpool, but
Okay.
I'm just full of trivia knowledge today.
I like it.
So
I like it.
I'm pretty sure he didn't have red hair. All right, so next on the questions, University of Toronto.
Okay.
They are called the Varsity Blues.
Blues.
The Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues. Okay.
Their mascot, named True Blue, is what type of woodland creature?
I'm gonna say a blue jay. That's gonna be my guess. We got
That is incorrect as well. Their mascot, True Blue, is a beaver.
beaver.
Yes, he's a beaver, woodland creature.
Hmm.
Varsity Blue. There you go. That's him right there.
I was really hoping, just kept going with the Blue Jays.
You're not doing too hot here.
No.
All right. Question number 5 is Simon Fraser University.
Okay.
They are the Klan.
The Klan.
The Klan. They were formerly called the Klansmen, but they are no longer that. They
Yeah.
are now the Klan. The official mascot, though, his name is McFog.
Fog.
Can you guess what animal McFog is?
Then a possum. We're just gonna go
Ooh,
off
that
off
would
the
be-
deep end. An
That would be
opossum.
pretty cool.
An opossum.
That is incorrect. I think we have a picture here of the mascot. He is an anthropomorphic Scottish Terrier who wears a kilt. Yes. I
Huh.
don't know how they came up with that.
Huh.
They did not list that.
Do Scottish Terriers really have like gray fur and
I don't think
bright?
so. I
Okay.
think that's a little bit of a cartoony aspect to it. But
Okay. I
yeah,
like
he's
it.
an anthropomorphic dog.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, and that's how they describe him. That's pretty cool.
I like it.
All right, question number 6. Here we
Okay.
go. Maryville University. They are the Saints.
Okay.
What saint does Maryville use as their mascot?
I'm gonna say Saint Mary.
Oh my gosh.
Did I get one right?
Air quotes. Saint. No, you didn't. We have a picture here coming up. They use the Saint Bernard.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. The mighty Saints over there at Maryville University. Man, I thought you would have gotten that one with my air quotes.
Nope.
I thought it was good.
It was pretty obvious, but nope.
All right, next one, University of British Columbia. So when this university first voted for their mascot, they opened it up to the student body.
Okay.
There were 6 finalists: the Corsairs, the Grizzlies, the Spartans, the Thunderbirds, the Golden Eagles, and the Muskians. Don't know what that is. But which one do you think they picked?
Well, if this was 2017 that they were voting in, it would have been like Bodie McBoatface, something like that. So I can at least rule that out since we're not. In
Oh, that's not
2017.
one of the 6.
We
questions.
will say, what was the 4th option again?
The Thunderbirds?
Yeah, we're gonna go with the Thunderbirds.
That's correct.
Woo!
He got one right.
Coming in clutch at the end.
It is the Thunderbirds. But actually, the great part of this story is that the original winner after the voting was a write-in vote called the Seagulls. Actually won the entire vote. But the Pep Squad and the university administrators were so mad that they canceled that, went together, started deliberating, and decided that the Thunderbirds would win.
This is why we can't ask Reddit anymore. Right there.
Yeah,
all
and
started here.
yeah, in 1934. So
All started here.
Reddit started right there at University of British Columbia in 1934. So that's pretty fun. All right, last but not least, here we
Okay.
go. Let's see if we can get a second one, take it to 25%.
Let's do it.
Your highest score you've ever gotten on a collegiate exam. All right, University of Maryland. They are the Terrapins. This one is more of an easier one because they're big into sports. So what is a terrapin?
A terrapin. Huh. Well, is it a tool for climbing?
No.
No. Okay.
So he's been playing this game called The Long Dark, and there's a lot of climbing in it. But let it go.
Hey.
The terrapins, I think we have a picture here. It's a turtle.
Turtle.
It's a freshwater turtle.
Turtle.
Yes, turtle. It is a turtle. It's one of the more recognizable mascots out there in collegiate esports.
Yeah.
Well done, Richie. All
One.
right,
I got one.
you got one. That's
was-
pretty good. Hey, I probably wouldn't have gotten any.
It's okay.
Except I'm really good at trivia nights, so I might have gotten terrapin, but I would not have gotten Thunderbird.
Thunder.
So
Hey.
well done.
I had a good
Congrats.
feeling.
Well, that's it for us here on UGC's Rift Talks. Tune in next week, Monday night, for another edition. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Rift_Talks. Again, I'm your host, Adam, Adamant Gamer Antor, alongside.
Richard the Third Hearn.
And we want to wish you all a fantastic week and a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Good night.